Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Leaders lead, others talk and complain. It's why I voted for the man for president. President Trump threatens the kidnappers with the death penalty if Nancy Guthrie isn't returned alive. Thank you, Mr. President. Plus, Obama breaks his silence on the Trump AI social media video depicting him and Michelle Obama as gorillas, calling it a clown show, and says he does not respect this administration. Plus, Cuomo on Mamdani's homeless encampment. It just hit me, folks, and I'm serious when I say this. Cuomo is already bidding his time until the next election for mayor. I think Cuomo, who should be the mayor right now, has said to himself he's going to wait it out for the 4 years. Mamdani's going to flop, and then he will be the next mayor of New York City. 800-848-9222. But you know what I find interesting before I get into President Trump? It seems very simple to me. You want to vote, you show an ID. You have to show an ID for everything that we do in life. But the Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer telling CNN it's Jim Crow 2.0 to require voter ID at elections.
About 83% of the American people, including majority Democrats, support voter ID laws.
Well, yeah, the voter ID laws that, first, each state can have its own voter ID laws, and some do and some don't. But secondly, what they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0. They make it so hard to get any kind of voter ID that more than 20 million legitimate people, mainly poorer people and people of color, will not be able to vote under this law. We will not let it pass in the Senate. We are fighting it tooth and nail. It's an outrageous proposal that is, that shows the sort of political bias of the MAGA right. They don't want poor people to vote. They don't want people of color to vote because they often don't vote for them.
Folks, who doesn't have an ID? The year is 2026. Who does not have a photo ID? This entire argument is ridiculous, and it is insulting, and it is yet again a case of Democrats lowering expectations for people of color, and it's ridiculous. Let's turn to the Nancy Guthrie case, and a report from News Nation. President Trump, and you know, it's why I voted for the man. There are those that step up when necessary, men among men, and that's President Trump. Sending a message to the abductors. Hey, she's not returned alive. You are looking at the death penalty.
The president has weighed in on this, most recently threatening the kidnappers, these potential kidnappers, with the death penalty if Nancy is not returned alive. How long do you think this massive allocation of resources can continue?
That is a really good question. So we have a community of over 1 million people in Pima County. One of the reasons I think it's a good idea to shift the investigative lead fully to the FBI is because there are other things going on that detectives here in Pima County need to be addressing for other criminal activity. Other aspects of the community need their help too, and that goes for the FBI and others. So is it important to apply resources like this to this particular case? Of course, but it is also important to do that in a balanced way that doesn't completely neglect a lot of other community concerns, criminal activity, and other issues like that. So I think it's important we do this in a balanced fashion.
All right.
And that's News Nation talking to the county executive, the local county executive in that area of Arizona. 800-848-9222. On ABC's Good Morning America, retired FBI agent Brad Garrett appeared discussing the latest developments in this case.
Garrett and Brad, thank you for joining us this morning. And we saw Savannah Guthrie released a new video overnight. What did you make of her message?
Well, Michael, one of the real keys in any of these cases where somebody has not been recovered is you always want to build hope and humanize the person that's missing. So for Savannah to do that, if her mother is still out there to be found alive, you're trying to humanize with the kidnappers. Now that's not an easy thing to do if somebody's up to kidnapping someone, but it never hurts to put that into the mix.
And we've heard about the glove. So a question is, how long should it take for investigators to learn that the DNA found on the glove matches someone in the database?
No, it shouldn't take any time at all. Of course, the problem is the database is primarily made up of convicted felons. And so as a result, you've got about 22 million plus folks in CODIS. I'm sure they have run it against that. So if this individual that's seen in the video doesn't have any prior felony convictions, he may not be in there.
Now, are investigators any closer to knowing whether the ransom emails are connected to the abduction or if they're fake?
I don't know the answer to that. It strikes me as odd, working a number of kidnapping cases, that you would have what appears to be a lone actor, in my view, analyzing the guy at the front door of Nancy's house versus the email folks who basically didn't set up any way for Savannah directly to communicate with them. They didn't go to her. They went to the media. They wanted a lot of money, and they never provided proof of life. So I guess I'll be surprised if they're connected, but obviously we won't know till we get to the end.
Yeah, you're right. It is very odd. The search is entering its third week. You've been involved in cases like this before. Where does the investigation go from here?
You keep doing everything you have been doing, and as new leads come, I mean, you've seen it play out. You talked about it in the earlier opening about stopping a guy with a vehicle, searching it, searching a residence. That's all driven by tips. And the
tips is what's going to help solve this case. That is the bottom line. That from ABC, Good Morning America. I love to see the tweets from you folks. My ex, my account here, Debbie Lebedo. Debbie sends some excellent messages. I agree with 99% of what she says, especially in this case. Debbie says Chuck Schumer just said poor and black people are stupid and cannot get ID. And then she capitalized here. Doesn't everyone born here have a social security card and birth certificate? Yes, Debbie, you're making perfect sense. So it doesn't make sense for the Democrats. It really is that obvious. It's that obvious. The party of lost. That's the Democrat Party. The party of Jasmine Crockett and AOC. Who in their right mind would vote for those two? Unless you're lost and confused and misguided. It really is that simple, folks. Obama. The former president breaking his silence on the Trump AI social media video depicting him and Michelle Obama as gorillas, declaring it's a clown show, he says, at the White House, and he doesn't respect the administration. Now, I've said this over and over, the meme was awful. It should have never have happened. President Trump had it taken down. It's not the end of the world, though, folks. It really isn't. And I've said this, we do as a society, and in particular people of color, we have much bigger fish to fry. Like, how about looking in the mirror and getting better education? How about making sure our kids are educated? How about making sure that we do something about black on black crime? But don't get me diverted for that topic right now. I'll save that one for another day. But that's just a few of the bigger fish that there are out there to fry. We're about to start with your telephone calls, but first, Obama on this meme.
This morning, former President Barack Obama breaking his silence after President Trump's blatantly racist post earlier this month depicting him and the former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes.
I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling.
Obama over the weekend calling the Trump administration shameless, saying they don't respect the presidency.
There's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television, and what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's been lost.
So that's Obama's take on the situation.